Welcome, everyone. This is today's second Live with Lee, and I couldn't be more excited and happier to introduce Katrina Collier. Did I pronounce your last name right, Katrina?
You did. You did. Thank you.
Good. Katrina, I found Katrina on LinkedIn through all of the content that she was writing and through some other people who were shouting out her name. So I did some checking and found out that this woman is really remarkable. But more importantly, because it's all about me, and we all know that, more importantly, she and I share a very common ground. It's the experience. It's making sure that recruiters deliver an exceptional experience to candidates, whether they are hired or not hired. And so that common thread, we also learned today that we have this crystal collection that's almost mirrors, apparently.
Very insane.
Oh, yes, that's kind of crazy, isn't it? But
yeah.
So I asked Katrina to talk with me today about her career as a recruiter, how she evolved into becoming an author and a trainer, and a very highly outspoken person of our industry.
Did you say I'm outspoken? I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. No. So Katrina, I do want to start with the book, though. Tell us about this and why you wrote it and how it came to be.
Oh, my goodness. I was asked by Kogan Page, who are the publisher. Thanks to Perry Timms, who told them to ask me. I was asked. This just doesn't happen. And I have to say, my inner child went off in utter glee at the thought of writing a book. And I said, I know exactly what I'm going to write about. I'm going to write about all of these HR tech vendors who keep telling us that robots and AI are going to replace recruiters, because I think it's utter BS. We didn't decide whether I was allowed to swear or not before this came on.
No, it is not for children. Speak freely.
Oh, it's utter bollocks. British word, love it. Picked it up. And I just was like, no, we're going to write a book about the robot-proof recruiter. So I jokingly call it a survival guide for recruiters and sourcing professionals, because it's a bit tongue-in-cheek. But that said, I do think that the recruiters who don't put the human first and don't use technology to put the human first can very easily be replaced by robots. In fact, I did a presentation this week and I was talking about order takers, the ones that will work on a 3-year-old job description. They won't do a proper intake strategy session. They won't partner properly with hiring managers, all this sort of stuff. They are replaceable. But if you're human first, if you use the technology to engage better, well then, but because I hadn't recruited for a little while, because I'm going to be really honest, I didn't want anyone to go, oh, you Collier, who do you think you are? When did you last recruit? Fair point. I backed it up with 74 people from the industry. I said to them, right, this is what I'm writing. This is what what do you think? And they backed it up. So it is a real community book, which it really hits my values as well. Plus, on top of that, the royalties from the Robot Proof Recruiter I donated to the most incredible charity called Hope for Justice, which aims to end modern day slavery, impacting over 40 million people. And they're really struggling at the moment. So even if you buy it and you hate it, at least you'll have done some amazing good for that charity. So people seem to love it, though. I see it all over the world. It blows my mind. There's so much stuff they don't tell you about writing a book. Like, people will send you photos of your book on their bookshelf and they'll send it. I'm reading it on holiday. And you're just like, oh, my God. I've seen it on every continent. Oh, well, obviously not the cold continent, but you know what I mean.
That's amazing. So let's talk about how you got to this point, Katrina. It didn't happen overnight. Talk to us about the career path that led you up to today. Where did it all start? And give us that middle story.
Well, obviously I'm not looking my age. So I actually went into recruitment late. So I met my now ex-husband, who many people know about because I still randomly live with him, as you do. And we've lived through a pandemic together better than we would have married, just throwing that out there. Wow. Yeah, gotcha. And anyway, I moved over here from Australia in 2003 permanently. And I saw this little advertisement in the Metro newspaper on the tube, back in the day when one could get the tube and buy a newspaper to find jobs. And I just saw this trainee recruitment consultant. I thought, oh, I can do that. Why not? First company, completely, utterly dodgy. Within 6 weeks, the second my salary went into my bank account, I walked out the door. But I was like, oh, no, I like this. So I then went to another one for about 4 months. It was like, not the right company for me. And then I ended up at what was Best People that became Spring Technology. Now
Okay.
I was,
Stop right there,
yeah,
Katrina, because I think that this is a part of,
yeah,
especially in recruiters, that they jump from job to job, but I'm not sure that they understand that there's a strategy behind that. You're talking about that didn't work for me here,
didn't fit right.
but I liked the actual part of the job.
Yeah.
What didn't you like in those first two jobs that you wanted, that you prefer? What was it?
I am, before the word became a buzzword, I am so authentic. Like, I'm just black and white. I literally just poke myself in the eye. I'm black and white, right? I just say it how it is. And things have to be true to me, or I'm not, I ask anyone who collects crystals, okay, they'll tell you, like, everything has to be true. The first company wasn't paying its contractors. So the second I realized they weren't paying the contractors, oh, you're financially insecure, right? Hence, I waited. I've never walked out the door in a company like that. I literally waited. As soon as it went in, I walked out the door. The second one was full of, we call them cowboy recruiters here, IT recruiters who were like, they were basically out to screw clients over. Again, it didn't fit with my value set. So ended up at Best People. Now, I was really honored to get to work with Richard Norris, Steve Sims, Mel Agostini, and these people took me under their wing and they showed me how recruitment could be done properly, which is by partnering with your client. I used to go out to my clients. I used to sit on client site. I used to sit in on interviews. I mean, I was part of their recruitment. I wasn't just, oh, you're the agency over there. Like, so that's where it started. But unfortunately, by the end of 5 years, that company got incorporated into Spring Technology and become very toxic. It became the cowboy recruitment. It became the SLAs, that kind of thing. And then the recession hit, the 2008-9 out of nowhere recession. As far as I was concerned, it was out of nowhere. And actually, I was able to walk away from the rolling commission because I was doing incredibly well, even though I hated the company. And it actually meant I had freedom to go. So I went to another agency for a while, and then I went in-house for a period of time. So discovered what the other side was like, as I like to call it. And then I came out in late 2011, 2012 was when I started training, because I just thought, lots of people are on the internet. Lots of companies want to know how to find them. Why don't I just teach them how to do it? Had no clue what I was doing, but off I went. And that's when I started blogging and tweeting. And that's when people started picking up on what I was saying and just loving it. And like I said before we came on air, I am baffled by the whole thing. I didn't plan on being this person that, like, I had somebody come up to me on the street and gone, oh my God, you're Katrina Collier, which freaked me out, by the way. Please don't do that to me. But it's like I've become known amongst recruiters around the world, and I didn't plan that. It's almost like a side effect of me just wanting the industry to be better, wanting recruiters to be better, and sharing, first social recruiting and then candidate engagement and then the book and then facilitation and the mastermind like I do now. It's all just all about all the time. We can do this better. We can treat people better. I said a lot, sorry.
That a lot of people are nodding their head back there. So I had the same experience as you did with one staffing company where I was actually on the other side of that. I've always worked for pretty exceptional staffing companies, but as an industry, the staffing industry, Katrina, had a -2 satisfaction rating in 2019. Yeah. In 2020, it jumped up to 28 out of 100, and that's still really below par. I mean, so the staffing industry and the recruiting profession shoots itself in its own feet every day. And you and I understand that. And I think that this is why the robot-proof recruiter is so critical at this moment in time, because as technology does evolve, your ability to actually help a human being will be at such a high value that they'll be, I think, less contingent and more retained. I think that you're either going to be in that MSP world, or you're going to be in that exclusive world.
I totally think that the recruitment agency model is so bad because it puts the human being last.
Yeah.
So, that thing of we're basically, imagine going in and you have a meal, and at the end you're like, oh, at the end I'll tell you if I'm paying or not. Like, so agency staffing, or staffing, whatever you want to call them, do all of that work with this poor human who's in tow to go through the entire recruitment cycle, always rushing against other agencies, to then go, oh, well, I'm sorry, you're not successful, but actually we're not going to pay you either for all of that effort. Now, I just think if more companies went, you know what, enough of that, I'm actually going to pay a retained search, I'm going to pay upfront, I'm going to pay for the service that we deserve as a company, and the service we should be getting straight giving. So getting from the agency and giving to the candidate. I mean, I had a lady speak to me the other day. She's at part of an RPO, and she is one of 5 agencies that's on that RPO. So she gets an IT contract role, and all of those 5 agencies have 24 hours to come up with people. So they're all fighting the same people, and the reputation of the end client is going down the toilet because 5 different agencies are ringing those candidates. It's all rushed. Nobody's vetting properly. They're throwing mud and hoping it sticks. And I said to her, walk away from that business. It's just bullshit business. What are you doing? Like, yeah. Anyway, I'm not going to fix the industry in this call.
Yeah.
I'd like to, but
yeah, that is a completely different model, this MSP model versus what you and I are talking about. And companies do have a lot of success in working in that model. But here's my point. And your book brings it out. And my point is, where are the associations that speak on behalf of all of these staffing industries and all of our recruiters, whether they're in-house or staffing? I don't care who it is. Where are the associations in saying enough?
Yeah.
We have to present a united front that says this is how recruiting should be done. And you're going to compete on your ability, recruiter or staffing firm. You're going to compete on your ability to target and be part of the group that you are representing, right? So now we are going to become SMEs in these spaces, and we are going to understand that this is the level of competence that we need to deliver, not just to the company, but to the candidates that we choose to represent. And that's another thing.
But there's nothing like that. There's nothing. There's CIPD and SHRM, you know, but for HR, there's every other industry has got its qualifications. We have nothing. We're the people that bring in the people that decide the fate of the company, because we bring in the wrong people, the company folds. We bring in the right people, it booms. Like but there's no qualification. There's no barrier to entry. It's mad.
Well, there are some things, but the qualifications, like if you do SHRM's, the CSP, I think it is, those are really around legalities and compliance. It doesn't talk about the human aspect.
Yeah, of course. But that could be part of it, though, couldn't it? By the way, don't get me wrong. I don't necessarily think SHRM and CIPD have all the answers, right? But I'm just saying there's at least something qualification, even if you do that and experience. But yes, of course, there's ATAP and there's a few different things, but there's just nothing that anyone's got behind enough to really start making a difference. But oh my God, completely, it has to include human elements. But I mean, it's how do we lose that? And all I can say is, and I really felt it writing the book, to have come into recruitment really as technology, the internet, because to me, the internet is the thing that changed recruitment. Like it's the reason you and I are talking, right? We met online, we never met in person. And it's like the internet was the massive game changer. And then there's all different forms of technology that if, it used that or whatever off the back of it. But we came in before. So we remember calling someone up, hooking them, wooing them through the process. And it was so simple. Hi, Lee. Got your CV in front of me, resume here. I'd love to talk to you about this job. Are you free to talk? Yes, I am. Let's talk. Blah, blah, blah. Next second, you're in for an interview, right? Now, either you have to go through 1,600 hurdles to get your application to me, or I have to go through at least 5 or 6 different forms of communication to get you to answer. And it just used to be so much easier. So I think because of all the noise, and then you've got like the constant interruption, right? We're getting pinged at all the time. I've just had to switch everything off so you and I can talk. The only interruption is obviously the beautiful dogs in the background that Lee's just muted out.
And all the dogs are talking at once. This is live.
Doesn't matter.
Everybody gets 5.
But like that's the only interruption. But normally it's like this war that you're fighting for attention. It's not just a war for talent, it's a fight for attention. And it's so somewhere we just lost well, actually, we're trying to talk to a human about something that's so important to them. This is their career. This is their ability to pay the mortgage or the rent, to keep the kids in school, whatever it is. It's so important. And we forgot that.
Yeah. And, so I've moved off of the recruiting desk for quite some time myself, but have recently stepped back into it to see what's going on firsthand. And I know. So I was just helping one of my clients, Katrina, you'll get a kick out of this. It's in the healthcare industry, something I have never recruited before a day in my life. But I'm talking to these remarkable men and women who are out there giving COVID shots. Yes, giving COVID shots, working 14-hour shifts.
Amazing.
And they're calling me. And the first thing I do as a recruiter is I say, thank you for doing what you are doing.
Yeah.
Whatever job you want, let's see if we can get it for you. Because right then and there, you've already got creds. I've had so many candidates cry right at that. They just break down. And then I just got an email last night. I posted it on LinkedIn earlier, and she said, thank you. We had to turn her down for some other reasons, qualification reasons, but she thanked me for
telling her.
Not only that, but she said, you spent time with me, your knowledge and your help. I'm so glad. That is the kind of experience that even when a candidate gets rejected, that we should be able to deliver. We can't be that busy. And if we are, we're not using technology correctly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
I hope I don't dump myself in it with my beautiful mastermind pod people who are just gorgeous, by the way. But they go through a 12-month program with me, which I created off the back of the book because I lost all of my income in March last year, literally overnight. I just vaporized. I came into 2020 going, wow, look at that pipeline of work, my God. And then it just went. Anyway, created the mastermind to aim at the human skills. And we go through all sorts of trust, like you were just talking about. You called it cred, but trust, like building trust quickly because it's, takes seconds to lose it. Empathy and compassion. I've even got self-worth and all sorts of stuff in there where they're doing clarity at the moment. So we're talking about, and we were talking about the telephone, and we were talking about the ability for someone to just call in after they make an application. Now, I personally love that. I don't care if I get interrupted by an applicant that calls after they've made their application because they want to work for me. Like if they really want to work, or the client, I want to talk to them. And it was really interesting how resistant many of them were. Well, I'm like really busy, or I'm in back-to-back meetings and I can't be interrupted. Well, then you let it go to voicemail, don't you? And you pick it up when it suits. But it was really interesting how it's become this, well, no, you mustn't call. Well, actually, no, I disagree, because they're the people I want to talk to and I want to get that connection. But again, we're a bit older. We've let's just text and email. There is definitely an experience. Okay, I'm not going to call it generational, but it is, but not because of typecasting. But they've experienced life differently to what you and I have, being a bit older.
Well,
much as I don't look it.
I don't. Neither one of us really. It was just yesterday. So, so what I'm hearing is that if this is generational, and it is, and they are, I hear too many
because of the technology.
Yeah. So
I'm not generalizing and saying all millennials are like this or all Gens are like this. I'm just saying it's become a barrier because of the technology.
I think, Katrina, and I'm going to throw this out there because I know I'm going to catch hell for it, but I think it's a leadership problem. I think that when you've got talent acquisition leaders, when you've got a CHRO who doesn't put their foot down and say, we are going to deliver exceptional service and this is what it looks like. And if I never get any feedback, or if there is anything on Glassdoor that says differently, you're not going to be part of this organization. I mean, and that is exactly what I did for 21 years when I was at Aquent. No matter what team I led, this is the expectation that is set. If this is not part of what you want to do.
Don't you find it amazing? Thank you, Marisol. You're absolutely right. She just yapped you, which is a big thumbs up. But don't you find it amazing how there's never budget for the people that bring in the people get no budget? My mastermind is like 50 quid stroke 65 US a month. That's it, right? That's it. To be mentored by me and learn from your peers and really up your human skills and become irreplaceable. It's peanuts. Some of them can't get budget sign off. And in a way, I'm like, why aren't they just sticking their hand in their own pocket? But that's another whole conversation. But it's like, you go back to that. So they'll say, oh, here's your exception level, but then they won't give them the training that they need.
Okay.
It's like hiring managers who don't get training how to recruit. And it's like, there are big problems. You're right, leadership problems.
I'm going back to square one. This is a leadership issue.
Yeah, you're right.
This is a leadership issue because they're not setting the stage and not creating enough business reason for the company to invest in this part of the organization. That's number one. Number two, it's a practitioner issue, I think. The practitioners are not putting their feet down and saying, enough. I am not going to herd humans in and out of this process. And number three, I think, boy, I'm getting a lock off my chest today. Thanks, Katrina. This is good for me. How about you? And I think
we knew, by the way, from our pre-call that it would be like this.
And I think three, we've got an association that does not stand for quality. There is not an association out there that is saying they're talking about the new technologies. They're talking about, changing how we can do things faster, better, quicker, cheaper, blah, blah, blah. But where are we talking about the quality of the placement, the quality of the you and me? Yeah. You and I, you and I are the only. Greg
there are some others.
Greg Savage, you probably know him. He come from
actually, and the guys that do the candies, they are really caring about. They are completely candidate driven.
Yeah, so there are some. I'm not going to make this, but where is the collective voice that is saying, as an industry, we don't believe that this is good for human nature. We don't believe that this is good for business. We believe that having meaningful dialogues and giving recruiters the chance to think and do and be kind, that's where the magic.
Oh my God, you'll love this then. Right. So I'm talking about candidate engagement, and this is I'm delivering this to heads of talent acquisition who have teams looking for people who have skills that are in demand, right? Like healthcare. You got to go find them. They're not just sitting there applying. And this woman said with so much arrogance, but so much, this is correct. That's not really good English, but just go with it. But my recruiters are maxed out. They don't have time to learn to source. And I'm just like, are you kidding me? That means that they don't have time to learn how to put the human first. They don't have to learn. Right. And I just say to any recruiters out there who are in that kind of a role, look, bear it out for the moment. But then, you know, when the market picks up, and it will, because this is a cycle thing, move. Go and find a company that is going to invest in you. You are the human bringing in the humans that makes the company a success. I don't care whose cliche it was in the first place. That is so, we must remember that. And, I ask people through the book and through the mastermind, everything I do, sit up. You are there to partner with the business.
That's right.
You, together with the business, are going to fill that role. That is your job, whether you're an outside recruiter, in-house recruiter, a source, or whatever you want to call yourself this week. Partner. And the more you sit up, the more you'll never get replaced by technology. Technology is going to take away all that fundamental crap, all the admin crap that we hate doing anyway. But recruitment partners who partner with hiring managers, they are not going to be replaced, because we're humans, we're fickle. You can't, unless it's like a driver or something where it's actually, I will just take that contract with that company because I don't honestly care. Like it's just a courier for whatever company. But other industries, it's like, no, actually, I really do need to talk, because I need to make sure every element of that role fits.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And so
my turn to rant.
Yeah, I think that we're both going to feel very cleansed after this.
Yes.
So I do want to talk about your switch from staffing industry to in-house.
I'm trying not to run over my spaniel.
What? That's right. In case you don't follow Katrina on,
you should, just for Banjo.
You should. She's got two beautiful dogs.
And one of them is currently under my chair. So every time I move by mistake, so I can never sit still either. I know I meant to sit I just can't. How did I? So I literally, this is what really happened. I set out to, and this is all hidden back in the history of when you start a business and you kind of flounder around like a dead fish for a while. I set out when I left the world of agency to teach to teach job seekers how to make a winning impression, because that was my original company name, online. So I was actually doing CVs, but I was teaching them how to network through LinkedIn to get a job. And in the middle of that, I'm like, I need some income, like I need some serious income. And I just got offered would you come and recruit ClickView people for us? And they were an IT consultancy. And my intake was billions of rows of data. ClickView speaks English and business, English and technology. Was all the requirement was. And I was pulling people in from all around because it was a brand new technology. And it was like, I'll just pull these people in from around the world. So I fell into that as well. But it was so rewarding growing this company from 20 to 70 and this really niche technology, because I had to go find them wherever they were. It was really cool. So it showed me as well that I could teach companies how to do this. So that's when I then started teaching the sourcing, because I was like, well, I can do it. Because it was the idea I'd had to do it, but then I could put it off because I was helping job seekers because there were more of them around at that time. And then I went in-house and then I came out. I didn't explain that at all well. I'm very sorry, guys.
No, I think you did a good job. So I think
5:11. I'm pretty bad after 4 p.m.
No, you did great. I think that what you're trying to say is that before you taught, you figured out what the process, what the success is to recruit and retain this talent and help a company achieve its business.
Yeah.
And
I've always been really clear as well. Like, if anyone comes to me and says, can you design a strategy? I'm like, oh, no, because the word just makes me feel nauseous. I'm like, oh, no. I can show you how to find people online and recruit them and get them to engage. And like that's what I do. I don't do that now, by the way, in case I'd rather, there's tons of other people I recommend instead. I don't teach the sourcing bit anymore, but that was the bit I was doing. But the bit I always enjoyed at that was the getting people to respond, because you can find pretty well anybody you want to find online. Like, you can just find them. It's fine. But me getting Lee to respond through all of those different communication channels that she's ignoring me on, that's the real art.
Yeah.
Because I feel, and anyone who's heard me speak in the last 5 years has heard me talk about the fact I can go online and I can look at you and I can look at your company and I can go, I don't want to work for you. Look at those reviews or look at those tweets about you or look at recruiting hell on Reddit, my daily source of entertainment. It's like, I don't have to talk to you, and I can see how many other jobs are out there. I don't have to work for you. And that's, even now in a pandemic, people have choice. In fact, I was just on the phone to a friend of mine who has been offered a role, and the company is making him go through such a ridiculous process to get on board. He's about to tell him to shove it, because he's just like, I don't have to go through this. My skills are in demand. I do not need to go through this. So
I'm glad you brought that up. Again, this is where the hiring manager and the person who knows how to recruit need to have a come to Jesus meeting.
Yeah.
They really need to figure out what is the right, all
Chapter
of that book.
5.
So got,
as I said, for anyone who hasn't noticed, the Robot Proof Recruiter, royalties to charity, royalties to charity, right? No, it's just that I do plug it, but I'm not getting paid for it, right? So it's like, I'm happy to plug it. But chapter 5, I didn't write, because remember, my intake strategy session was billions of rows of data, ClickView, English check, right? So I got Tangi Pettis, Maisha Cannon, and Steve Levy to help me write that chapter, because that gives you everything you need to go into that meeting with all the data you need and the attitude you need and everything. If you don't have the attitude, join the mastermind, for goodness sake, to partner. But I also have my podcast has just come out last week. Hopefully you saw it, Lee. I've been spamming if you're a first level connection, you may find it randomly land in your inbox. Might be spamming it to everyone, because it's the only podcast where hiring leaders are being heard for, and I'm finding really good ones who will explain to other hiring leaders why they should partner with recruiters and show you why you should. And so my idea is, with that, there's some ammunition to get your hiring leaders on board as well.
That's
I refuse to call them managers, because they are not managing the process.
I'm on the same page as you are. And in our last 30 seconds left, I do.
Oh my God, what do you mean we've got 30 seconds left?
I know.
No, can we talk for another half an hour?
It's us, Katrina. It goes by very fast. So what I do want to do is offer, you had offered a free copy of your book, right? To how do you want to work that? So do you want the first person who says robot proof recruiter in a LinkedIn comment? and that says something really cool, like humans first. That's it. We want to hear robot-proof recruiter, humans first. First person to put that in LinkedIn.
We'll get a signed copy.
And then I signed copy.
Yeah, I'll get a paper copy to them. These have got shipped all around the world.
Nice. Okay.
I'm very lucky I have a post office right there.
Excellent. I want to thank everybody for joining. We don't have any other questions from the group, so I think that you and I have had a wonderful discussion about what recruiting should be like. I think we need to stay on our course and stay on our mission. And if you are in the recruiting profession, I am going to challenge you. And Christina, I'm sure, or Katrina, I'm sure will join me in saying that we challenge you to stand up to power. Hold truth to power. Be the leader. Be that loud voice. Be that squeaky recruiter that says, no, this is not how we want to treat human beings, because this represents our brand. And when a candidate gets a bad taste about a company's brand, it's not just them who gets affected. It's everybody they know in their close-knit world and on social media. So, Katrina, thank you so much for all of your time today. I'm on your side. And for everybody else, have a good afternoon.